All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a real-life mystery, and it's one that affects pretty much every single one of us every single day. We're going to figure out exactly how our favorite devices are mysteriously stealing our time.
So picture this. You're chilling on the couch, maybe reading a book. You think to yourself, I'll just quickly check the time. You tap the screen. You blink, you look back up, and somehow 30 whole minutes have completely vanished. Poof, gone. Now, you might be wondering, where on earth did that time go? Who took it? And how did they manage to pull it off without you even noticing? Well, let's unpack this crime scene.
To really understand the crime, we gotta look at the weapon. Back in the early days of computers, software was just a tool, like a hammer. You'd open a document, type out your essay, and then you'd put the tool away. You bought the software once, and the company was perfectly happy. But modern apps, they aren't hammers. We live in this attention economy now. These apps are totally free, but hey, they aren't charities. Because they rely entirely on advertising, the actual product being sold is your focus. They are highly engineered traps designed specifically to capture and hold your literal human attention for as long as humanly possible.
Now, the secret to how they manage to trap us is buried right inside our own biology.
You've probably heard of dopamine, right?
People always call it the pleasure chemical. Like, you eat a chocolate chip cookie, you feel happy, boom, dopamine. Well, scientists found out that's actually a total myth. Dopamine isn't really about the reward itself. It's actually your brain's seeking molecule. It's the biological engine that makes us want to explore, find new things, and seek out new information or connect with people. Think about it like this. Imagine you just ordered your absolute favorite pizza. When does your brain actually give you the biggest spike of excitement? Strangely enough, it's not when you're chewing on that last piece of cold crust. The massive dopamine spike actually happens when you're waiting by the window, hearing a car pull up, just anticipating that doorbell. The excitement, the real thrill is in the waiting. Your brain is literally rewarding you for the seeking behavior.
And your brain measures all that anticipation using a lightning-fast little math problem called the reward prediction error, or, what I just like to call the surprise equation. Every single second, your brain acts like this incredible supercomputer. It simply takes the reward you actually get, and it subtracts the reward you expected to get. And the answer to that fast little math problem tells your brain exactly what it needs to do next.
Okay, so what happens if the actual reward is way better than you expected? Boom, massive surprise. And your brain absolutely loves this. It releases this giant flood of dopamine that literally wires your memory to say, hey, remember exactly what you just did and do it again. And just like that, a habit is instantly born.
But wait, what if you expect, say, 10 messages and you get 0? The reward is way less than expected. You'd think you'd just say, oh well, and close the app, right? Actually, wrong. This disappointment drops your dopamine levels below normal, and it creates this really restless, uncomfortable craving. It feels like a physical itch that you just have to scratch, which basically forces you to pull down and refresh the screen just to fix that uneasy feeling.
App designers totally get this. They know that predictability, it's boring, but unpredictability, that is wildly addictive. Just think of a normal vending machine. You put in $1, you get a candy bar. Totally predictable. You only ever use it when you're actually hungry. But imagine coming across a broken vending machine. Sometimes you put $1 in and get nothing. But sometimes it spits out 3 candy bars and a bag of chips. You'd keep feeding it dollars just to see what happens, wouldn't you? This concept, the variable reward, is the exact same psychology powering your infinite scroll.
And guys, none of this is by accident. App designers actually use a secret blueprint called the hook model to build these traps. It basically boils down to 4 steps. First, a trigger grabs your attention. Second, an action that is super easy, literally just swiping your thumb. Third, that variable reward, that broken vending machine feeling of, ooh, what am I going to see next? And finally, fourth, the investment. That's where you leave a comment or spend time customizing things, which guarantees you'll come back later.
But hang on a second. Let's look at that very first step, the trigger. If push notifications are so annoying to us, why on earth do we constantly click on them? Well, it's because they evolve. At first, sure, it's just a ding from your phone. But eventually, the app doesn't even need to ding at all. The trigger morphs into an internal emotion. The exact second you feel a tiny bit bored doing your homework, your brain just says, hey, I know a quick fix for this, and you automatically reach into your pocket.
Now you might be wondering, can't I just, choose to stop? Well, yeah, you can. Your free will actually lives right behind your forehead in a region called the prefrontal cortex. You can think of it as your brain's traffic cop, or like the brakes on a car. It's the exact part of you that's supposed to say, hey, we have homework to do, put the phone down.
But here is the absolute craziest clue in this whole mystery. When scientists actually measured the brainwaves of people who were endlessly scrolling, they saw something mind-blowing. Beta waves, those are the ones that keep your traffic cop awake and actively focused, they dropped by a massive 35%. And at the exact same time, delta waves, which usually only show up when you are in a deep, deep sleep, they spiked. So the infinite scroll is literally exhausting your prefrontal cortex. It's straight up putting your brain's decision maker to sleep.
So, with your traffic cop passed out at the wheel, what happens? You entered the zombie state. You shift away from making a deliberate, reflective choice about what you actually want to do to just reacting to the glowing screen on pure autopilot. You aren't consciously choosing to watch the next video. You're basically just a passenger at that point, completely driven by those little dopamine spikes, stuck in the loop.
And here's the kicker. Tech companies know exactly what's happening. Recently, during some major legal investigations over in Europe, detectives uncovered some seriously eye-opening internal documents. Engineers at major platforms were actively joking with each other about being pushers and literally called their own apps a drug. They knew for a fact they were designing what researchers called dark patterns, sneaky little tricks meant to bypass your free will entirely.
But don't worry, it's not all doom and gloom. We can actually fight back. Ethical designers are pushing for something called friction mapping. See, if apps are too slippery and too easy to use, what we really need are speed bumps. Imagine if after 10 minutes of scrolling, the screen just paused and asked, hey, do you want to keep going? Or what if we simply removed the infinite scroll altogether so you actually have to click a button to load the next page? These tiny little moments of friction do something amazing. They give you a conscious pause. They jolt your brain's traffic cop wide awake and hand you your control right back.
So there you have it. The mystery of the stolen time is officially solved. It wasn't magic, and it wasn't an accident. It was highly engineered psychology exploiting our brain's natural reward system. But now that you can see exactly how the trick works, you have the power to break it. I'm going to leave you with this one thought. How will you build your own speed bumps today to wake up your traffic cop and take your time back? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. If you found this mystery as fascinating as I did, definitely subscribe to Refreshing Tech for more simple, practical, and engaging stories that decode our world. Catch you next time.